So, Caught Stealing was directed by Darren Aronofsky and it stars Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, Regina King, Liev Schreiber, Vincent D'Onofrio, Bad Bunny, Griffin Dunne, Matt Smith. And in this movie, Austin Butler plays a man who's down on his luck. He wanted to be a baseball player, but he didn't get that for various reasons and such. So, when his neighbor asks him to watch his cat for a few days, he winds up getting involved with a bunch of these criminal organizations and he must figure his way out of it. So this was a movie I was really looking forward to for a couple reasons. First off, the cast sounded really cool. You got Austin Butler, who I think is a decent actor. Zoe Kravitz I liked. Pretty much everyone in this cast I do like in one way or another. But the more interesting aspect of this movie to me was Darren Aronofsky. Now, Darren Aronofsky, even though I do own a bunch of his movies, he's not one of my favorite directors. He's just one of those directors that I'm going to find very interesting no matter what kind of movie he does next. Usually it's going to be something very disturbing, something odd, something controversial, something not very subtle. But no matter what he does, it's always going to be kind of fascinating. And there are times where it's like, I really like something that he does, or maybe I'm like, kind of thing, it's like, okay, that's kind of an interesting take that you have. Or also I'm thinking like, okay, maybe you're kind of going a little too far there. And I'm like, okay, you're kind of pushing yourself too much. But I also thought it was very weird that this was a movie that looked like the most commercial Darren Aronofsky movie out there. Kind of crowd-pleasing, friendly, well, not friendly for a Darren Aronofsky movie, I would say. And this movie is, honestly, I'm conflicted about it. There are parts of this movie that I think are good, but there are parts of this movie that I think are kind of uneven and unfocused. And I'm like, what are you trying to do with this movie exactly? I don't know. It's like if it's just trying to be like this fun. I kind of wanted a fun, zany comedy. Maybe something, maybe not fun, but like something so out of the box. Maybe something that would be a Darren Aronofsky-esque movie. Something like, say, After Hours or even Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And there are aspects of those movies in this movie, but I wish it kind of played up more of that. But let's start off the things I do like. First off, I do think most of the actors do a fantastic job. Austin Butler, I thought he did a good job. Matt Smith, he's pretty fun in the movie despite the fact that he's not in the movie very much. Bad Bunny, he continues to surprise me as an actor. I thought he was actually pretty good in this movie. He was pretty good in Happy Gilmore 2, of all people, but I'm kind of surprised. Also, Zoe Kravitz, I thought she did a good job. Pretty much almost everyone in this movie does a pretty good job. There are a couple where I'm like, I don't know if I would consider them good performances. I feel like they're kind of more silly, but we'll get into that. And also, I do think there are some really fun sequences. There is a fun sequence involving Griffin Dunne in this movie that I thought was pretty fun, and admittedly, the last 30 minutes of this movie are pretty fun. The movie does have a few surprises here and there where it's like, oh, okay, I thought this movie's going to go into a certain direction and, you know, I was going to be okay with it, I guess. But then the movie kind of just does a complete 180. It's like, okay, I can see where you're going with this now. Well, maybe not where you're going with this. It's like, okay, at least you're throwing a few curveballs in there, so at least it's not entirely predictable. But it also kind of feels like you're just kind of throwing some stuff out there and it doesn't entirely work out. Again, well, this movie's also based off a book, so maybe if I read the book, I would kind of understand a little bit more. And also, again, it is kind of funny. There are definitely some moments where it's like, okay, that's kind of chuckle worthy. And also, the cat. That's all I gotta say. The cat in this movie is adorable. That's all I have to say. But let's talk about some of the things I don't like in this movie. Now, I said I kind of was hoping that this movie is going to be like something like, say, After Hours or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And the fact that the star of After Hours, Griffin Dunne, is also in this movie, I thought that was going to be kind of an homage to it. But unfortunately, no. I felt like the movie was just way too standard. I felt like the movie didn't really do anything that was like unique or interesting or really original. Like, you kind of learn a little bit about Austin Butler's character and his backstory and like what his deal is. And it is all right. Like, you kind of do feel sympathy, but you're also kind of thinking you could have done something a little bit differently with this. And it was like, I felt like it didn't know whether it wanted to be like a really dark comedy or a really serious crime thriller. And I feel like there are times where it's like, you know, you can make jokes about various things and such, but you kind of have to know the right moments. And I felt like this movie didn't entirely know when the right moment was. It's like, okay, half the time it's actually a very serious crime thriller. But let's have just a funny moment every once in a while, and it's not going to land. And also, I felt like there were a few pacing issues with this movie. There were definitely some moments where it's like, okay, you're kind of dragging this out for a little bit. The movie is under 2 hours, so I guess that's fine. But I felt like this movie just dragged along for a while. And also, I did find some of the characters to be kind of bland and very one note. Like, when you kind of see what one character is, you're kind of going to guess, like, what their character is going to end up being by the end of the movie. And, of course, that's where the character is. There are a couple characters who I felt like could have been borderline on stereotypes, and I felt like they could have handled that better. And also, Matt Smith, even though he's good for his role, he's not in the movie very much. I think most of the stuff that you kind of see of him in the movie is already in the trailer. So it's just very disappointing. It's mostly a movie. If you want to see Austin Butler, if you thought he was really good in Elvis, he's also really good here too. And admittedly, a lot of the other actors do a pretty good job as well. But I just felt like this movie was a little tonally inconsistent. It was kind of all over the place, and not in a good way. If it was over the place, like something like say After Hours, that would have been interesting. But it just wasn't as fun as I thought as it was trying to be, or even when it gets to the crime thriller stuff, it's not as interesting as I think it's going to be. So, even though Caught Stealing has some good performances and some good moments here and there, some funny moments, and also a very cute cat, I felt the movie was just very inconsistent. It was just very standard. I thought it had not a lot going for it. It had nothing really new or original. There are some pacing issues here and there. Some of the characters are kind of forgettable, in my opinion. And I feel like this movie, the weirdest part about this movie is that it's so unlike anything that Darren Aronofsky has done before, and that it's just, for the most part, for lack of a better term, normal. And that is the most abnormal thing I've seen in Darren Aronofsky's filmography. So I will give this movie 2.5 out of 4 stars. Stream it. So, what is your favorite and or least favorite Darren Aronofsky movie? Because he's one of those filmmakers who has both good movies and also bad movies. So, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.